What's up guys, welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you want to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
If we announce that anyone who conquers the dungeon down to the 100th floor will win a vast sum of money, I believe many nobles will bring adventurers over and support their quest to win it all.
He grinned. Dangle a vast fortune in front of nobility, he suggested, and they're all too greedy to resist. Talented adventurers would quickly find patrons to hire them, no doubt, using their wealthy boss's funds to shore up their equipment and tackle the labyrinth in better shape. It'd be like athletes taking sponsorships, actually, wouldn't it? And if their adventurers performed well, that'd paint their patrons in a better light and maybe earn them more money elsewhere. That'd offer more than enough reason for them to step up, Mjolmile thought, and the noble sponsors could kick back in the city, too, enjoying all the entertainment while their team hacked away. It could be fun, too, to broadcast labyrinth runs to the Colosseum seats. Between this, that, or the other thing, we'd likely be able to attract large audiences. Sponsors, though, Hearing that concept from Mjolmile really impressed me. I always knew he was talented, but I didn't think he had this much insight into the future. There's no doubting that sponsors would love adventurers in their stable landing a huge item or scoring an impressive boss defeat. There's no telling what he'd think of next. Now, just one more thing. After a great deal of discussion, Mjolmile and I had something we wanted to work on with the Free Guild. My financial partner had everyone in the hall enthralled, even Veldora had shut up. Realizing this was his chance, he spoke up.
Now, while we have Grandmaster Yuki Kagurazaka here, I have a request, or an offer, to present to you.
An offer? What's that?
As I said, we are planning to offer bounty prizes in the labyrinth, and that's something we would like the Free Guild to manage.
Why is that?
Mainly for the advertising effect, you see. With all the guild locations out there, you'll be able to spread the word quickly worldwide.
Yeah, that's certainly true, but what else?
Well, in addition, I wanted to use guild membership cards to manage the challengers.
Wow, yeah, that's quite an idea.
Yuki sighed, either amazed or exasperated. We had thrown around the idea of issuing labyrinth cards to challengers, but this actually required a lot of work. This way, we could reduce running expenses and give some of the workload to the Free Guild staff. In a way, it was Mjolmile's quest to palm off responsibility for it on someone else.
But this offers certain advantages to the Free Guild as well.
Oh?
You see, the monsters in the Forest of Jura are managed by the orders of Sir Rimuru. That management will be expanding to the edges of the forest's expansive borders in the future.
And when it does, there'll be less monster hunting work to be had.
Precisely. But that won't be a problem, because the labyrinth will be home to a vast number of monsters in time. Hunting them down provides magic crystals, as well as pelts, fangs, claws, and other components, all on a regular basis. And wouldn't that boost the guild's profits as well?
Defeating monsters let you obtain parts and ingredients from them. Selling them to the guild earns adventurers income. When the guild sells them to shops and so on, they earn the resulting profit margin. And meanwhile, we'd leave adventurer management to the Free Guild and collect taxes from them. Going forward, there was likely going to be a lot of out-of-work adventurers going around. This labyrinth can help create new outlets and new jobs for them to take advantage of. Nobody loses, I thought. But how would Yuki respond?
I'm sure Rimuru gave you a few suggestions about this, didn't he? Well, Mjolmile, was it? I'd like to think about this idea, but it's likely that we'll accept it and establish a new location in town here. Would you be able to provide a building for it?
Of course. Once you know who you'll assign here, we can work out all the details later.
Man, there's just no beating you, Rimuru.
Yuki grinned at me. Mjolmile and I had our deal. I turned back toward Veldora.
Did you hear that? Once that's accepted, we're gonna have a ton more adventurers going in. And a year may be asking too much, but in 2 or 3 years, I think we'll see some pretty formidable challengers.
Oh? And why is that?
Well, it's simple logic. They'll be polishing their skills in a labyrinth where there's almost no chance of dying. It'd be weird if they didn't get stronger.
Yes. Well said, Rimuru. I look forward to this.
To someone as long-lived as Veldora, 2 or 3 years went by in a flash, I imagined. He was smiling now, chatting about how exciting this could be. Right. If that placated him for now, then we were good. As I gloated internally, Hinata raised her hand.
May I have the floor?
Yes?
I didn't think she'd complain to me at this point, but I still tensed up anyway. Once I decided I had a hard time with someone, it was difficult to shake that image from my mind, I guess.
I have a request, or a suggestion.
The way she put that wasn't exactly encouraging. Mjolnir's eyes were averted, sweat running down his head.
I'm listening.
Thank you. If you'll excuse me.
Hinata's concern was for labyrinth users failing to conduct adequate safety measures during outside work. If they grew used to not dying inside there, she feared, they might wind up unprepared when they're in the real world. This had occurred to me as well, but I concluded it was just a play-at-your-own-risk thing, and that was that. Having Hinata pointed out left me tongue-tied.
Well, apart from warning people, I didn't think I could do very much.
It's an issue that could affect people's lives, you know. You can't just let it go unaddressed.
Yeah, but...
No.
Yeah, but, Hinata?
Before I could plead with her, Hinata offered a suggestion of her own.
But if you accept the suggestion I'm about to make, I'll be fine with what you're doing here.
Alright, I'll listen. What is it?
I tried to be reserved with her. I shouldn't have worried.
You are such a... Never mind. You don't have to tense up like that. This could be useful to both of us.
Huh?
Challenging this labyrinth is a fine idea. It'll help improve your core skills, and I think you can learn how to effectively dispatch assorted monsters better this way. But I'm concerned that it'll reduce people's awareness of the potential lethality involved. So I'd like to send over a priest or two from the Western Holy Church.
A priest? No. Have you lost your mind, Chief Paladin Hinata?
It wasn't me shouting but Fuse. A lot of other people were surprised as well, so I asked why. It turns out a priest, in church parlance, was a kind of magic user, a religious healer. I think I had actually heard about them before. They were a rarity, in fact, one of the few individuals in the church hierarchy able to harness holy magic, which the organization kept a guarded secret. Those ranked a bishop or higher could apparently perform divine miracles, including the replacement of lost body parts.
I am quite serious. Yes, their abilities are classified, but they, too, need to learn and grow. No matter how much genius-level talent they have, only a very few manage to master the divine miracle of resurrection. At this rate, we risk losing skills and lore that have been passed down for ages. Times of war are one thing, but it can be frustratingly difficult keeping this knowledge alive during peace.
So basically, raising the dead as a skill was dying out because there were fewer dead to raise? Maybe it wasn't exactly that, but I understood what Hinata meant well enough. Her idea was to use my dungeon to help improve her people's holy magic. It was heaven-sent, exactly what we needed here. Even if they never learned resurrection, having priests with high-level healing spells around would help keep people safer during work outside the labyrinth. If I wanted to fully learn the secret skills of faith and favor, Luminous turned me on to seeing and analyzing a priest's skills in action would be a good shortcut as well. I had no reason to turn Hinata down.
Well, they'd all be welcome here.
I thought you'd say that.
Ignoring the gasps of surprise around us, Hinata and I came to an agreement. Priests were now going to be lurking around the labyrinth. I thought that was the end of the meeting, but Hinata had one more suggestion.
Also, changing the subject a little, I'd like to have the paladins try conquering the labyrinth as part of their training.
Huh?
We could have Sir Veldora over there, say, weren't you selling takoyaki at one of the food stalls?
That doesn't matter, does it? Just go on with what you were saying.
I begged.
Yes, I was certainly not running a takoyaki stand under the name, Alias.
Oh, and here I was trying to kid myself that it was someone else. Well, alright.
Hinata grumbled, looking a bit tired out. But there was no fooling her. Although, really, anyone who knew Veldora would have spotted it. The Storm Dragon insisted that he wanted to run a food stall with a grill during the festival, so I asked Mjolnir to get him a space and someone to help out. Then, for reasons that were beyond me, Veldora convinced the busy Kurobe to craft a special grill top for him, one made for cooking takoyaki, the balls of batter and octopus, more popularized in the city of Osaka. I allowed this provided that nobody found out it was Veldora running it, but, really, everybody in town knew the guy anyway, so I begged everyone involved to just keep it a secret from the coworkers at the stall. Along these lines, I asked him to come up with a fake name for the festival, and he decided upon Alias for it. Thus we had Alias Takoyaki among the stalls, and from what I heard, it was actually a huge success. But now we were going way off subject.
So, if we can forget about that for a moment, can you tell me more about the paladin training you're picturing?
I lobbed the conversation back toward Hinata. She didn't protest, thankfully.
Based on what I've seen, new paladin recruits likely wouldn't be able to win against that Bovix guy from the tournament. So I'd like to group them in parties of 5 or 6 and let them go inside. It'll give them more on the field training, and it'll also help train the priests I mentioned. And if I had to guess, our higher level paladins could probably make it to floor 50 right now.
Oh, that is quite fine by me. In fact, bring them on.
Veldora was certainly up for it. And paladins were all ranked A or higher. With that kind of force, a few of them in a team could probably get past Bovix.
I'd also like some of our captains to join in.
More murmurs of surprise from the crowd.
Do you mean that, Lady Hinata?
You would have us dive into the labyrinth as well?
Arno and Bacchus, the first paladins to ever stay in Tempest, immediately fired back at Hinata. She didn't relent.
Why wouldn't I? It's the perfect training ground, and you'll never get killed in there. If foes that strong are found around floor 50, they've got to be even stronger below there. Maybe even you couldn't win.
Veldora contentedly nodded. The paladins, meanwhile, were livid.
No, I don't think so, Lady Hinata. We're the Crusaders, the most powerful army out there, and we have a saint among us, the complement to a demon lord.
Exactly. The demon lord's personal leaders are one thing, but a typical dungeon monster would be cannon fodder to us.
Then prove it to me.
Arno and Bacchus's defense was pulverized by Hinata's perfectly fair argument. Certainly, if they could beat floor 100 and conquer the whole labyrinth, that'd prove they were correct, all right. That was the pure truth, and there was no possible way to spin it. Sadly, though.
Wait a minute. But isn't the guardian of the 100th floor?
It's supposed to be a secret, but I will let you in on it. It is I, Veldora the Storm Dragon.
He was certainly enjoying himself, as Arno and Bacchus turned pale with despair. There was no turning back now. I gladly accepted Hinata's request. That seemed to finish up most of our business, so I decided to take this opportunity to get one thing straight. In fact, this was the main reason I'd called so many people in here.
That's it for this video, guys. Thank you for always watching my videos and supporting my channel. Shoutout to Nightgazer, Chadvota, Mark Gian Prospero, Danner Soul, Rembaru, Famsturm, Rimuru Tempest, Asterius, Muhammad Norai Zalikan, and last but not least, shoutout to Captain of the Royal Knights Izvestia Pieris. I'll see you guys in the next video.